Because it is still a male-dominated industry. There's big, heavy equipment. I mean, it can be intimidating for a woman. What's your advice for other shops that want to attract women, or not only attract them to work there, but retain them?
I know for me coming in, like I had Tori. I think it was probably Tori, the one that kind of kept me there. As for why Tori stayed, being the first woman in the shop, that's a little bit different than my experience. I think for me, it was just that connection. Even just with one woman in the shop, just to kind of see her survive and thrive in that kind of environment, that was really cool for me and just kind of made me want to stick around and do the same thing.
What do you think, Tori, as the first one coming in?
I had really, really good guidance. I was taught all kinds of stuff, so they took all their time, and they do this for every intern. I feel like I wasn't treated any differently, but if they see someone who really cares and wants to be better and do good and stay there for a while, they will take time out and they will teach you. People took their time out, helped me out to become the employee I am, and just wanting to be that for someone else too.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. I'm your host, Casey Voelker, sitting here with Matthew Nix. And today we are going to be talking about women in welding. And we have two special guests here today. One is Tori Guzman. See, I messed that up. One is Tori Guzman, and the other is Hannah Beyer.
Ooh, Aubree Beyer.
Oh my God. Why did I say Hannah?
Where did we get Hannah from?
I thought I caught Anna, and I was like, maybe you just said it wrong.
Yeah, I was like, maybe.
See, I'm going to restart the whole thing. We have two special guests here today. One is Tori Guzman, and one is Aubree Beyer. And they're going to talk to us a little bit about being women in welding. And so I'm going to let Matthew kind of start the conversation off.
All right. Thanks, Casey. Thanks for being here, ladies.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, and we want to learn a little bit about your story, your personal story, and what led you into fabrication. One of you's already made a career out of it, and one of you is using it as possibly a stepping stone to learn about where you want to go with life. Both are awesome, awesome things, and so yeah, we're excited to have you guys here. This is a really dare I use the word trending? That's not a word that I use, but this is a trending topic right now. There's a lot of the women in welding hashtag on social media has really got a big following, and there's I think just a trend of more and more women considering the trades, and that's something that I want to ask you all about in a little bit when we dive in. But maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, Aubree. We can start with you.
Yeah, so I am a senior at North Posey High School right now. I kind of started welding when I was around 10, I think. My grandfather was a coal mine welder, and so I just messed around in his garage with him every once in a while, just kind of took to it and loved it. Then when I moved out to North Posey, I started actually in manufacturing class, and then that's how I got kind of connected with Nix. We took a field trip, and then I took the internship from there, applied, and went that route. So it's been great ever since.
So how many other women were in that, or young ladies were in that manufacturing class that you were in?
There was just one other, and she was 2 years younger than I was. So I was taking the intro class, which was mostly freshmen and sophomores at that point. Other than that, I don't think we had any other women in the manufacturing classes prior to that intro class. So,
did you ever feel any stigma around that, or what was the reaction of friends and family of sort of exploring that path? What was that like?
My family was kind of, I've always done things differently than other people, so they weren't surprised when I said that I wanted to go into a trade that wasn't really common for women. But like my friends and stuff, they weren't expecting it, I don't think, especially being new at North Posey, saying that I was taking to welding, that was not something that they were expecting.
But any negativity around it? It was just more of like they were surprised and
Yeah,
oh,
just
that's cool, and
surprised.
moved on.
Yeah, no negativity. It was weird being in a class with all guys because I wasn't really used to that, but it wasn't terrible at all. It was fun to hang with the guys. So
So it's good to hear. It doesn't sound like there was any really negative or
No.
stive around it.
No.
Yeah, cool.
just new, trending, like you said.
Do you guys at North Posey? So we do some videos for North Posey, and we've done a lot with like the engineering pathway, and I've seen some of the engineers actually have their engineering laptops in the manufacturing room when they're welding. Do you guys interact with the engineering pathways much on the manufacturing side?
We do every once in a while. Like I said, I was in the intro class. We were mainly learning the basics of welding, not really learning prints or anything. I kind of learned that when I came to Nix, really. So, I mean, I'm sure there is a lot of collaboration, but not really that I had experienced.
Tori, how about you tell us who you are and a little bit about where your career, how you got started in welding, and then where you at now?
So I started about 2 years ago at Nix full time. I took my intern the second half of my senior year in 22, and started immediately after. It was my junior year of high school whenever I applied to the Career and Tech Center. My friend had told me there was a cosmetology class there, and there wasn't. So I went in and took a tour with her, and she just tried to get me to go on the tour, but we went through and looked at all the classes. I applied to some, and I got into welding, and it was very random. I thought I was going to go to cosmetology school.
I think there's our title right there. How cosmetology led to welding.
Exactly.
No idea.
You know, I mean, I think
so funny.
there's probably more parallels there than what meets the eye. I mean, cosmetology, it's kind of artistic, right?
Yeah.
And you're using your hands and hand-eye coordination. It's a trade.
And if you mess up, you chop someone like an ear off, or if you're welding, you can chop a hand.
If we mess up, we can weld it back together and fix it. Yeah.
Can't do that with
Yeah.
cosmetology. So you probably
Yeah.
chose the safer route, I guess.
Yeah. So it was completely random. I mean, my family knew I didn't want to go to college. If I wanted to do anything, it was going to be a teacher. And so I just fell into it because that's so many years of schooling, and I wasn't prepared for that. But as soon as I started at Nix, they took me on really well, like taught me basically everything I know. We didn't learn much about prints, I don't think, in class. And I just learned more and more every day. And I kind of knew immediately that I wanted to get to a point where I got to teach other people the same way I got taught, because it felt like satisfying to be able to have that come full circle, I guess. And I'm still not, like, I'm never going to be where I want to be, but I get to teach people every day, so very happy with it so far.
Do you feel like your business has hit a plateau? Are profit margins slowly eroding over time? Perhaps you've outgrown your current structure or struggle to find the work-life balance you desire. As a fabrication or machine shop owner, navigating these concerns can be overwhelming. That's where ProFab Alliance can help. Built upon a foundation dating back to 1902, we understand the fabricator's journey because we've lived it. We're here to help you grow your business, maximize profits, and live a more balanced life. With our consulting expertise, supportive community, and franchise options, we're committed to your success. ProFab Alliance, by fabricators for fabricators. Visit profaballiance.com to learn more.
We've talked before, Tori, and one time you mentioned, instead of, I don't know where you said you were going to shop, but now you shop at Home Depot and you look through the tools and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, you didn't realize that you were going to have like a passion for power tools, did you?
Yeah. My entire family was pretty shook up by it, but as soon as I started and got all the things I wanted, now I'm happy with it.
So there's a stereotype, kind of a joking stereotype about the crazy redheaded hairdressers. So are you trying to be a crazy redheaded welder?
I think I am.
You think you are? That's awesome. What you got for us?
Well, I was just gonna to follow up with you on Tori is obviously you said you accidentally fell into it, but I feel like you really like welding. What do you like about welding now?
So I'm kind of switching out of that, but what I first liked about it, I always really liked fire. It's random. I really liked fire, and that kind of just tied in.
She's a crazy
Brought-
redhead.
It kind of brought me back to that,
I like fire too.
I've got a fire going every weekend I can, but kind of tied me back into that. And then really I like learning technique and kind of growing on that and getting better at it, and something that I can keep building on. Like everyone in that shop knows that there's more to learn. So what I like is that you can constantly be bettering yourself over and over again, and then helping other people get better.
You mentioned you're moving out of welding. Maybe explain to the listeners, how you're transitioning right now.
So I applied for a material processing lead, and it's a lot different. So I'm halfway there, I think. So I'm still kind of fabbing, kind of welding, but they'll throw me back and forth. I'm trained in on all the processing machinery, I guess, now. And so I've been taking charge of that, helping out the other processors. I'm helping people get trained in on there and the laser tables, and then they're gradually going to move me off as we get more people in to fill up those spots. But learning that roll rail, it's pretty fun to run.
Yeah, so material processing for us is often the entry. Coming in either welding or material processing is usually our entry level positions. And so one of the things we identified was that material processing part of our business was the highest turnover for two reasons. One, that's where we promoted people out of, so we were constantly moving them up, or they would leave, one of two. But those two together created high turnover in that position. And so we identified the need to have someone in more of a leadership position, someone that was more established within the organization. So that was a new role we created. And I'm really excited for Tori to be, she's continuing to develop in that role. But I think that lends itself really nicely for a woman. Again, not to stereotype, but women tend to be more patient, better teachers. There's qualities, I think, that lend itself well. That you're typically dealing with younger folks. And so I think, you're relatable to them and you can do those things. So yeah, it's been cool.
Will she have more of a teaching role as a material handler or the material lead?
Yeah, just simply because of what I said. I mean, she's going to have entry-level folks coming into those roles, and hopefully, if she's doing a great job and they're doing a great job, they're probably going to get promoted to become a fabricator or move on to whatever else, right? And so she'll have.
So I think that's cool. That, like you mentioned, like if you were going to go to school for anything, you're going to be a teacher, and now you're getting the chance to teach. I know when I was up at the shop with you a few weeks ago, you were training. And it's just one of those things that, like, when I was a kid, when people are kids and they ask you what you want to be when you grow up, and you actually kind of know what you want to be, you just don't know what that career is called.
How it will manifest itself.
Exactly. I always tell people, I always said I wanted to be a motivational speaker, because I always liked at school when, like, they came in and, like, got you pumped up and stuff like that. And even in my LinkedIn profile, I have that story of I want to be a motivational speaker, and now I make videos that motivate people. So, like, it's a little bit different. I found out when you have a speech impediment, it's hard to be a motivational speaker. So I couldn't do that. I stuttered a lot as a kid. But it's kind of cool to know, like, Tori, you're saying, like,
and you still talk fast.
I do talk really fast. Sometimes way faster than my brain can comprehend. But Matthew, before you rudely interrupted me, I was just saying it was really cool that Tori, that you thought about being a teacher, and now you're kind of teaching. I mean, do you think that's kind of cool?
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Casey, what do you think I wanted to be when I grew up?
A welder. Oh, my bad. Oh, no.
You guys have any guesses?
Hold on. Professional hunter. I don't know if that's even a thing.
No, I really never.
I don't know if is that a thing?
Sure,
Like
sure,
doing
it's
like
a
a
thing.
game
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
You
All right,
guys
you guys
have
got
any
to guess
guesses?
what did Matthew want to be when he grew up?
Like police officer or something like
Police
that.
officer. what is that supposed to mean? Am I like the cop?
Yeah, when you
Maybe-
come to the shop, apparently you're the one that's policing everybody.
Maybe a business owner, but in a different industry. I don't know.
No, I wanted to be an architect. And I bring that up because, like Casey said, I think we kind of do know what we want to do. We maybe just don't know how it will manifest itself. And I do consider myself an architect, but I'm an architect of the business, right? I mean, I think my job is to sort of design and craft the vision for it. So yeah, it's interesting.
I love when we can go down tangents like this. I almost went to school for architecture to Ball State. Then I decided I was going to do video.
Yeah, well, I think there's some parallels there.
Well, I
sure.
thought I wasn't good at CAD because I had to do some CAD stuff for they wanted me to take engineering classes and then go become an architect, right? And I wasn't very good at it. Tracy Stroud was my teacher. I can blame him. Then
That's Tori and Aubree's boss now. So for those of you that are listening, I have no idea who that is.
he was. But then now in video, I'll do work in 3D software that is literally CAD software just for making 3D models for videos and stuff. I don't do it very often, but anytime I have to like 3D animate a logo or anything like that, it's literally a CAD software. And I just thought that was kind of funny that I didn't want to do that, and I still kind of
Here
do
you
it
are,
as well.
yeah. That's one of my regrets is not learning CAD.
You still have time.
I still do. That's right. Yeah, I'm learning Spanish is higher on my priority list right now than learning CAD.
That's
But,
smart too.
yeah, that's my next project. All right, Aubree, let's hear from you a little bit more. So there does seem to be a trend right now around, more women are open to I would say manufacturing and the trades, both. I guess just historically male dominated industries, right? So
Yeah.
why do you think that is? What's the cause behind that? And then I've got a follow-up question to that.
Yeah. I think more women are just trying to like find individuality within themselves and like branch out and be different, because that's like kind of our whole stigma of, our society now, be different, find your own path. And that's kind of led more women to kind of, like I said, branch out and be who they want to be rather than be put in a box by a stigma that only men can weld. Working with your hands, like you said, it's got close ties to other things, teaching, cosmetology, and some women just love it, and I think that's awesome.
I think the actual welding component, of course, what we do, welding is just one piece of what we do, but I think the actual welding piece is very artistic. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but dexterity, I think, is the word, and fine motor skills. Like there's a lot of, you think about in the old days, women knitting, right? There's a lot of similarities there to the physical aspect of welding and the hand-eye coordination and all that. But having that, those qualities and like attention to detail, I've talked about that for machining. We don't have any women in our machine shops right now, but I think women could make great machinists. They're tend to be more detail oriented than men. So definitely some good qualities there. So what about, as a follow-up question to that, shops that, because it is still a male-dominated industry, there's big, heavy equipment. It can be intimidating for a woman. It can be intimidating for a young man coming in too, but probably more so for a young lady coming in. So what's your advice for other shops that want to attract women, or not only attract them to work there, but retain them and them feel comfortable there? What would you say to that?
I know for me coming in, like I had Tori. I think it was probably Tori, the one that kind of kept me there. As for why Tori stayed, being the first woman in the shop, that's a little bit different than my experience, I guess. I think for me, it was just that connection, even just with one woman in the shop, just to kind of see her survive and thrive in that kind of environment.
Yeah.
That was really cool for me and just kind of made me want to stick around and do the same thing.
That's great. Because my mind didn't go there at all. I was thinking about like the physical aspects of, the plant and the environment and, accommodations and such. So that's neat to hear that perspective. What do you think, Tori, as the first one coming in?
Like what made me stay?
Sure.
I had really, really good guidance. I was taught all kinds of stuff. So they took all their time, and they do this for every intern. I feel like I wasn't treated any differently. But if they see someone who really cares and wants to be better and do good and stay there for a while, they will take time out and they will teach you everything that you've wanted to learn as long as they've got time. People took their time out, helped me out to become the employee I am, you know what I mean? And just wanting to be that for someone else too. So I decided I was going to stay here for a long time. Within my first couple weeks of working here full time, because I wanted to see it come full circle over and over again and just be bigger and have full systems for it to work out. So I'm interested in seeing how it all pans out. You know what I mean?
Did you know, like, when you were the first woman to be like a welder and a fabricator at Nick's, like, did you know that you were starting something there or not? Like, could you feel anything?
I didn't feel like I started anything. I feel like I got lucky with like Aubree and all the other girls that have come there, you know. And I think whenever I was in class, there were only a couple of girls in there. And then I went back and visited my tech teacher and stuff and kind of checked out the classroom, the new stuff they had. And they had more and more women each year. So I think that's what's going to really get more women in the shop. Just, you know, more people that are into it. So it's more of an option for more people they didn't even think of before. It's starting getting more women in there.
Just those connections.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It all comes down to human connection and relationships. I don't know why I'm surprised to hear you guys say that. I shouldn't be, but I just think that's really interesting and cool. Like, you know, my mind was going to more, you know, tangible things, and really it all, I mean, I think that being said, if you would have came in and the shop was a disaster and unsafe and just not the right culture, I think that would have been a negative too. But sounds to me like that was like the baseline stuff, and really what mattered was the connections and the relationships.
Something cool that she said was that you went back and talked to your tech school, and I think I don't know if you picked that up, Matthew. Like, that's something that even I like to do, and I know Matthew likes to do it. And obviously Nick's invites schools to come tour and stuff, but it's not like to toot your own horn or to brag about what you're doing. It really is like there's something about going back and talking to people that are aspiring to do something similar to you, and letting them know that it's an option from a career. So for you to go back and talk to the tech school, and yeah, you're talking to men and women, but like to see more women signing up, and then they see that a woman's coming back and talking, like, it's going to inspire them to, you know, want to pursue this career and stuff. So I had another question, which was kind of similar to what Matthew asked earlier, but what would you say to maybe 13, 14, or 15-year-old girl that's getting ready to go into high school, and she doesn't really fit in the typical box of, you know, whatever they want to study? I don't know, whatever that stereotypical box is. Maybe it's teacher, nursing, things like that. What would you say, Tori, to someone like, if they're like, should they check out the trades? Should they check out welding, fabrication?
As long as they aren't, if they have a little bit of, I guess, doubt on what they want to do, they should definitely like look into it. I mean, research it, talk to people about it. Like, I took a tour at that tech school, just kind of looked around. There's other stuff other than trades there too, so there's no harm in going to look, and just see if it piques your interest a little bit. I mean, you can even make it a hobby. It's kind of an expensive hobby, but
It's cool. I mean, it's a cool hobby to be able to have that skill set. Yeah, and Aubree, you haven't decided what you want to do with your career yet, so yeah, I think you can speak to right off of what she was saying.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, my advice would be to just stay true to yourself and who you are. Find like the things you like to do, the qualities that you have, and then maybe look into jobs, whether that be trades or, you know, like you said, just the stereotypical roles. I mean, it could be that, and that's great. We need nurses, we need doctors, teachers, but branch out, you know, find those qualities within yourself that you really like. And then, you know, like welding, like you said, it's very artistic. That can always be another option, and trades definitely offer that.
And I think whatever you move on to in life and in your career, I mean, I think there'll be incredible value in the skills that you learn through your 100%. Time in our shop.
Yeah. I mean, I learned hard work, you know, dedication and stuff like that. I feel like all of that I learned a lot at Nick's, and just that's even on the side of like the technical stuff, reading prints, welding, and stuff like that. Just like my character has definitely grown being in the shop, and I'm really appreciative of that as well.
What would you guys say to like a leader in a shop, whether it's the manager of the shop, whether it's a frontline leader like a foreman or something, and like, is there any difference that they have to think about when they're maybe managing women over men, or is there not? Like, is it like, don't make it different, which is, I think, is where you're probably going to go with it, but just think about our listeners, like, or should they be diversifying and having more women in their shops, things like that?
I have a hard time because I'm blind to a lot of stuff, I think. I don't know what's going on sometimes. From what I could tell, I don't think they treated me too different, you know what I mean? I think they went in understanding that I hadn't touched a tool really before ever, except for in my tech class. So I think they go in based on how much experience you have and what all you've done and what effort you're showing and what talent you're showing. I think that's more so what you should base your teaching and hiring based off of. I don't think it should make too much of a difference.
Yeah, and you think about like once women in the shop would become mothers, you think about how you would manage differently around that. And I would just say that there probably would be no different in that regard too, because we have a lot of the men that work in the shop that are dads that often, it frustrates the heck out of me, but I understand it. Sometimes their career has to take the back seat. To for example, maybe their wife's a nurse, and the kid's sick, and sometimes our guys on the shop floor have to be the ones that either get the kids to school or sometimes have to take a day off to stay home with the kids, depending on what the wife's career is. So, I mean, those things that we would typically think about accommodating women and mothers around, I think we already have to. I mean, the way our society is now, we already accommodate the men for that sometimes. So I don't think we would have to make any. I guess my point is we wouldn't have to treat the women any differently in that regard.
Yeah.
What do you think about Casey's question as far as how should they treat them differently? Should the shop leaders treat the incoming women differently? And if so, how?
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Like you said, the men and women most of the time now have similar situations. Women, I think, I think anybody coming in, not that you need to treat them differently, but you need to treat them with a little extra nurturing, I guess, like Tori said, a little more learning to kind of keep them in the field. I think that's men and women alike. You got to just really be focused on them and their career. And I think just the personal aspect of it really helps to kind of pull you into that field more. You've got those connections. So as far as women, I don't think so. No.
I think there definitely are there can be probably is physical limitations though that need to be addressed. I mean, we shouldn't pretend like those don't exist. So I think, we're just speaking practically. You're not going to go grab 100-pound piece of steel and throw it up on the table the same way a 6'6", 250-pound guy is going to do it. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I think those are things that we need to be cognizant of and put people in roles that, aren't going to require that.
Well, and I was thinking just like simple things that I feel like maybe Nick's had to think about too, is like locker rooms and bathrooms.
That was kind of what was on my mind.
Even for us, like our little studio here, I've thought about that too. When we hire our first woman, the bathroom is worried to me. I'm like, should we have a separate bathroom or so things like that.
Yeah, well, gender neutral bathrooms are a thing now.
I know it's very normal. Actually, every job I've ever, well, not every job, but most of the jobs I've worked at, they just have multiple bathrooms. But it didn't matter what you were.
No, we put a woman locker room and restroom in, and I don't even know if that existed when you started. It probably didn't.
It didn't for almost a year.
Yeah, and see, it's interesting. You didn't even mention that, and I think the point is like, I mean, it's good that we did that, and we wanted to do it to be respectful to you and also to attract more men to work here. But that didn't matter to you. I'm probably putting words in your mouth, but I'm basing it on what you said earlier. It didn't matter to you as much because the human connection and relationship were there, and you felt respected and connected to the people that work there.
Yeah, I don't think they were like, no, we don't want women here, so we aren't going to put a women's bathroom. It just hadn't happened yet. The only reason I ended up bringing it up, I said, if we do have a woman come in here and interview and we're giving her a tour, be like, oh, you can't walk through here because this is the only way to walk through here, and it's the men's locker room.
Oh, that was what you're saying. So for our listeners to understand, the primary access to our shop, the employee access was through the men's locker room. Yeah. So go ahead.
So the next question would be, where's the women's?
Yeah.
None.
Go all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were going into the office and using the restroom in there, and yeah.
Which they were nice, but they gave me a little rack and stuff. I hung my stuff.
Very accommodating for you.
Give me a rug for my boots to sit on.
Right, there you go. Ladies didn't want you to get your dirty boots on the floor.
Yeah.
Right?
So, but it took a woman to say, hey, if we give a interview to another woman, we're going to walk her through the men's locker room to get to here, And the guys were probably like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Maya and
I know I didn't.
kind of walked towards it, and he's like, we can't go this way.
That's
I didn't even realize that was closed off
Yeah.
there. That's crazy.
Yeah, I actually just recently walked through that part of the shop, restrooms and
Well,
everything.
we created a corridor now.
Yeah, and I was like, well, first off, there's new offices and stuff over there, and I was like, when did this happen? I was like, well, I guess it makes sense. I mean, but I just didn't even think about it. Anyway,
What else you got?
well,
We never did our dad joke.
I know we're
guess
we're 30 minutes in.
We're going to have to do that on the end.
One of the questions we talked about is what you guys find most rewarding or interesting in like the trades or in welding. So let's finish on that question. So I'll ask, what do you find most rewarding or interesting in the trades or in welding or working with your hands, things like that?
The continual growth. Sorry to piggyback off what Tori said, but like coming into the shop to where I am now, like the beads that I'm running are significantly more aesthetic than they were starting out. So that's just kind of cool to see that growth and learning new tools. That was really, really fun and interesting for me to be I can use that now, practically in my day, if I find it in my grandpa's garage, I know how to use it. And so that's kind of cool for me.
That's awesome. And you, Tori?
Like she said, just being able to keep learning, and then being able to teach other people after you've learned something, and then just the opportunity to better yourself, and then to turn it into a better career for yourself. And then also, I wasn't expecting it, because I didn't do much before I started at Nick's. I worked at a tavern, and I just kind of walked around and did my thing. But I like the hustle of it. Like, as a group, you get to get stuff done, and I guess it all flows through the shop, and you're trying to make things better for the next person to get it out faster and better than it ever was all the time.
Like a feeling of accomplishment, right?
Yes, and even at the end of a day.
In the tempo, I think like
Yes.
the fast-paced
Fast-paced.
tempo of it.
Absolutely. Even at the end of the day, just being a little hard day.
Long days.
Well, it's so good that you recognize and appreciate that. So first of all, just having gratitude and appreciation, I think, is one of the most important parts of having a good life. And I think so much of sorry to get all philosophical here, but she really hit a chord for me. So much of our problems in society are because everybody's a victim and everybody looks at all the negative aspects of things. And so and I talk about this a lot, is what I think we miss in the conversations about trades. We always talk about, you won't have student debt, and you can have a great job with great pay right out of school, and all that's true and all that's great. But we don't talk enough about the fulfillment that comes from working your butt off all day, getting dirty, at the end of the day, looking across the room and, man, I did that. You just feel good. And I miss that. I have an office job now, so to speak, and I will say I miss that the most, of that instant gratification of being able to stand back at the end of the day and look at you actually. That was a pile of steel this morning, and now it is something, in that sense of accomplishment, especially when you're tired. It's just, I think it's the same sort of endorphins you get from a good workout at the end of a workout, how good you feel, right?
That's what I was going to say. I always go back to, I mowed with a farmer commercially in high school. That was my job, one of my summer jobs. And I always say that was my most rewarding job. And it was weird because I was horrible. I wasn't very good.
Surely not.
I'm pretty good at mowing now. I've really honed my dad's skills on that. But I was the weed eater guy. Or I was a trimmer. I had to trim the edges, and I was not very good at it. I would burn it and stuff like that. But I will say, when I got done, I always thought was crazy was I was really worn out, but mentally stuff, I was energized, ready to go. And I remember getting off and being I'm ready to go do something. And it's the same thing now when I go out and film, and I have my cameras for 8 hours that day and I'm filming all day. Most of the time I'm less worn out when I get home, mentally, than I am when I'm sitting at my computer. And there's something about me thinking and stuff like that, but I'm tired when I'm at my computer, but when I'm out filming and stuff. So I think that's another thing is you get energized a little bit from the work that you guys do and stuff. So
one other thing I've heard you mention in the past that you didn't say here was just seeing the actual projects that
Yeah.
you build. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah. Just at the end of a project or something, looking at it, knowing you did that and you worked really hard on it, it's going to go out and do something for someone else. Pretty nice. I think it's rewarding.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you guys. That
Thank
that was really good. Yeah. You want to take us home with a dad joke, Casey?
Yeah. I'm going to get it out because I'm probably not going to say it right. Wait for my note to open up here.
Do we have to laugh if it's not funny?
It's going to be funny, so I don't want you don't have to worry about that. I don't know where my dad joke went.
No, I want you guys' I want your normal reaction. This will be perfect. We'll be able to. So when Mason edits them, so we'll do like a boo or like a slow golf clap or like a big applause if it's.
Okay.
So we'll see based on your reaction. We're gonna have to edit, Mason. You're gonna have to edit all this
Dead
time
right now.
out here.
There it is. Okay. All right, guys. All right, here's my
The
dad
suspense
joke.
is really
All right.
building up.
Have you? All right. You one of you guys own a home? No, you own a home, right? All right. Have you ever looked at your homeowner's insurance policy and realized that if your blanket is stolen in the middle of the night, then you won't be covered?
No.
He goes, no.
Boo! You suck!
No. I've never.
Did you get it?
Yeah. Are you sure you haven't told that one before?
I think I have told it, but now new audience is gonna laugh about it because it was so funny.
They were going to be the judges of how funny.
They
it
didn't
is.
even like. Well, they don't own a home, so it didn't count. Bad.
No, I don't think you have
I
to
don't
own a
think you
home to find it funny or not funny.
Did you guys find it funny? You know, because you're covered by your insurance, but you don't have
Yeah.
a blanket, so you're not covered. Because I have to explain this. Anyway, all right. If you
All
like
right.
this episode, rate it, share it with others, refer it. I think it's actually 3 R's: rate, review, refer.
Hashtag women in welding.
Hashtag women in welding. Hashtag MakingSparks too. Why not? But also hashtag women in welding.
Hashtag Casey's dad jokes suck.
That shouldn't be a hashtag. But anyway, if you like this episode, go back, watch, and listen to some of our other episodes. And thank you again, Tori and Aubree. I said Aubree's name wrong. We edited it out at the beginning, but she's not Hannah. Her name's Aubree. But anyway,
Thank you guys. It was awesome.
Thanks.